Hello and welcome to this quick video over the Humi H-1. It's a small 250 size aimed, 250 gram sized aimed twin tractor plane here. FTC RC is related to He-Wing, not 100% on the relationship there, but you can definitely see some influence from the He-Wing T1 Ranger as well as the He-Wing lineup overall. This is more of the beginner aimed plane, but I have done some interesting things to it to really take it to the FPV side of wings here. It is a 780 millimeter wingspan. You can see the wings are pretty nice. They are fairly thin here, and there are some downsides to that I'll get to here in a second. But overall, it's constructed pretty well. It's definitely meant to be a lighter style plane, and it's sort of meant to be kind of a hybrid between made for FPV and just general cruising around. These are 1504, just under 5,000 kV. I think they're 4,300 maybe kV motors, and the included props are 3.8 by I believe 2. So not built for speed so much. This plane is definitely aimed for 2S. That is really what's recommended from FTC RC. And you'll see a little bit more on that here in a second as I go over the electronics. It does come plug and play, so it's ready to go. Pretty much snap on the wings, plug the motors in, you're good to go. It has the aileron servos pre-installed, as well as the elevator servo right here pre-installed. There is a slot for the rudder servo, and it does have a good sized rudder here ready to go. Comes with the control rod and control horn, as well as a little divot here in the foam where you can just punch it in or out and slot in a 9-gram servo to get the rudder there if you want. It's a pretty good sized rudder. It's got a lot of, seems like it would have a lot of authority for a plane of this size, so you could get into some fun acrobatics if you wanted to. Again, on the electronics, this is the ESC that comes with this plane. It is a 2-in-1 10 amp 2S rated ESC. It has the little motor plugs that come on it on the motors themselves, so they are just plug in and you're good to go. And here they just combine into a single servo lead, so you have no differential thrust if you use this ESC or if you don't split these wires out. But to each their own. I kind of like having differential thrust, especially on these twins, or that's how you get differential thrust. And if you don't have the rudder, it's nice to have a little bit of yaw authority there. So yeah, a couple drawbacks to this plane because of the thin wings here. It sort of feels like the setup I have for it is a little too heavy. I'd like to get this out and do another flight on it with a lighter, probably a 652S battery up in the nose a little bit further. I did run it with the 2S 18650 pack, and I think it's just too heavy for this plane. One of the drawbacks of these thin wings is that they're not really producing as much lift, I think, as the T1 Ranger does. You see a lot of similarity between those two in this one, so I'll compare them quite often. But one of the concerns on the build quality side is, I hope I can get this on camera properly, but if you can see where the servo is placed, it's basically taking up the entire wing at that point. And you can see right about there, I hope this is coming through on camera, but right before that servo is where the spar stops. There's one carbon fiber spar that goes to this wing, and because of that, the servo itself is not supported by the spar, as well as basically the second half of the wing is not supported by the spar. So you get a lot of this flexing in the outer wing, which I didn't notice too much, and you probably won't as long as you keep this on 2S. I did debate going 3 or 4S in this thing. I think because of the limitations of the airframe, it might not be worth it to do that. And again, another downside of this being sort of a entry-level themed plane is that the motor mount is a strange three screw motor mount in here. There's not a standard X pattern or spacing. So in order to replace these motors for something that might be more appropriate for 4S, you would have to redesign this strange X mount. I don't know if that's what's included on the T1 nowadays, but my early T1 Ranger had more of a standard motor mount than this strange triangle mount. These motors do fine, I think, but that is definitely something to be aware of, is that these have a whoop style mount, but much larger. So yeah, those are some kind of quirks of this airframe. It does have two hatches. Here's the front hatch there. You can see the 18650 2S pack I have in there shoved as far back as I can go for balance. But again, I think this is probably too heavy for this setup just based off on how it flies. I'll put up the flight recording video of this thing. It flies very, very strange, a little bit too heavy, I think, with this 2S pack. So I'll do another flight here and swap that out and see if that can maybe get a bit better performance. I did not have OSD or GPS on this one, just because I wired it up wrong. But this does have a full iNav setup in it, and I did something a little bit different than my normal small builds. There's a back hatch as well. This is sort of what it looks like. It's kind of themed like a cockpit kind of. But there's two hatches here, and if you can see, I have a TBS Lucid AIO in there. It's a 1 to 2S capable flight controller. It's meant for whoops, but I did find a target for it, a custom target for iNav on it that gives you 2 servos, which is exactly how many I need with the ailerons on the same channel, just in reverse. And yeah, I wanted to try this out just to try something a little different. It does work okay, but it is a little bit difficult to get to wires. It's not really made for this purpose, and so getting to the UARTs is a bit of a pain. I wired up the GPS and the DJI-O4 RX and TX pads backwards, and so that was a bit of a pain to sort out, which I haven't yet, but I will have to take this whole flight controller out and check on the bottom and redo some of the wiring there. One thing I would note, if you are planning on putting a flight controller in this, just don't solder with the included motor leads. They are just crappy plastic servo leads. Just cut them off and splice on a good silicone wire like I did there. You can see these are the type of wires that if you put any heat through them, they melt, and then the wires possibly coming through, and you don't want that. You're going to get some shorts in your motors potentially, and that's obviously not ideal. I did have to use one of my little servo breakout boards in there. I don't know if you can see. It's deep in there. Let's see if we can get this to focus. It is deep in the airframe itself, right down in there. It just takes VBAT, powers back, and then puts that out into a servo rail where you can then solder up the signal wires from the flight controller. Super nice. I do have a lot of those on hand. I had planned to offer them, but yeah, I just use them for my personal use now. I have lots of them. So yeah, you do see a little bit of the Hewing T1 influence with these wing root mounts. I believe those might even be the same exact ones on the T1 and similar style motor mounts like we went over. Overall, I would say that this is a pretty good plane. I'll definitely have to take a look on putting a lighter 2S pack in there. You can see on the flight footage, it's a little bit, just almost feels underpowered for the weight that I put in it. So I may want to tone that down a bit. One other thing that comes to mind is this elevator is not supported by a spar at all. It's just held in place with 2 screws. So you, honestly, I did debate putting this on 4S. Sorry, some glue came off. I did debate putting this on 4S, but I think just the airframe is not built to handle it. Keep it light and keep it agile, and you should have a good time with this. So overall, I do like this plane. I may do some things different with the build in the future, but yeah, nice little plane. One other thing to note, I did put some reinforcement tape to try and help the wiggle. I would recommend you do the same. You can see on the leading edge past the motor, there is some packing tape to help reduce that wiggle. It was actually worse prior to me putting the tape on, believe it or not. So definitely something you want to do there. does have a little hole for an FPV camera. I just cut a little notch for the 04 Lite camera and put it up top because I didn't want to cut that hole out anymore. Decent air intakes. Wasn't having any problems with heat. I usually mount my 04 Lites externally anyway, just it's hot where I live. So yeah, a neat little plane. It's fairly affordable. I think it's under $100 shipped, which is a pretty good deal, especially if you're planning on keeping it just nice and simple, like I sort of have here. Yeah, so maybe keep your eyes open for a part 2, and I can showcase how this thing flies with a little bit less weight in it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.